Hello, welcome back. And in this video, we will be discussing about the Unit 1 of IIA syllabus part 1 and the resources which I'm using to explain you all the key concepts of the IIA part 1 exams is basically based on the GLIM publisher or the GLIM content. As I've given you an explanation why I prefer GLIM over others, because it is very concise and precise, and it's easy to grasp all the key terms and knowledge, especially if you have a background knowledge of accounting and finance or auditing. However, I will try to explain all the key concepts so you do not miss out on any topic from the IIA syllabus. This is a brief introduction about myself, my experience and my qualification. I wouldn't go in detail. Just in case if you are interested, you can pause the slide and you can read it yourself. So this is the first unit, and this unit basically comprises of 15% of the entire syllabus, which means approximately 19 MCQs out of 125 just come from this unit. So if you grasp this unit, there is a high possibility that you will be able to cover the exam by 19 MCQs, or about 15% in percentage terms. So it is very crucial to understand, because this unit basically build the foundation for the entire other units as well, and entire CIA course as well, because it talks about standards and other things which are very crucial and very important for the exam in general. But to be more specific, as an internal auditor, so no matter how experienced you are, we always try to refer back to these standards just to see what the standard tell us, how to perform, how to navigate ourselves in any difficult situation. This is just a picture that, just to give you an idea that what we will be covering in this entire syllabus. We'll be talking about the mission statement of internal auditor, what are the mandatory guidance, what are the recommended guidance, and there is one more crucial topic in this unit, which I believe is not depicted here, but it is about internal audit charter. So that is also one of the important elements that we will be discussing in this unit. So this is a very important pictorial diagram of IPPF. IPPF stands for International Professional Practices Framework. This is basically a terminology used for the key requirements by the Institute of Internal Auditor from the internal auditors. It navigates our behavior. It tells us what we are supposed to do as an auditor day to day on a daily basis, and it gives us a code of conduct by which we have to behave in that manner. So basically it is very profound, and this IPPF is basically the whole internal audit framework. So it has multiple components. First of all, the mission statements. It gives us the missions, that what is the purpose of having an internal audit activity or internal auditor in general. The second circle, if you look at, it has been divided into two components. The darker component is the mandatory guidance, and the lighter component is the implementation guidance. The mandatory guidance in itself is subdivided into 4 components, and the recommended guidance is divided into 2 components. So what is the difference between mandatory and the recommended? The mandatory one is the one by which every internal auditor or internal audit department has to be abide by. So these are the standards which we have to follow, and not only standards, but it also provides us a code of ethics, the code of the behavioral code for internal auditor. Whereas the second segment of the recommended guidance is basically You refer when you get into a confusion about any standards, or if you need additional guidance. So you can refer to those additional guidance just for your clarity and how to apply those standards. So it is recommended. So as by the name it goes, you don't have to be mandatory applying those, because it depends on your situation to situation. However, the mandatory guidance you have to follow. In the mandatory guidance, the 4 components which are the key critical components for internal auditor. The first one is the core principles, and then the definition of internal auditor. Standards is the third component, and the last one is the code of ethics. We will be discussing all these in a very high level, but just to give you an understanding what are these individual components in the upcoming slides. Whereas in the recommended, we have 2 kind of documents. One is implementation guidance and the other one is supplemental guidance. That also we will be discussing in the upcoming videos. So here is basically the same thing which I have explained to you. So in the framework, it basically has 3 main components: the mission statement, mandatory guidance, which is subdivided into 4 more components, and the recommended guidance, which is divided into 2 more components. So here we are with the definition of mission statement. So basically, mission is the purpose of why we exist, or what is the role of internal audit. So basically, it gives you an overall idea of internal auditing. The mission statement, one thing you will notice that the mission statement and internal audit definition are more more of a similar thing. The same wording has been used because the internal audit definition is derived from the mission statement. So that's why. Let's go to the definition first. Enhance and protect the organizational value by providing risk-based and objective assurance, advice, and insight. So if you look at it, just a sentence or 2, but it has so much meaning in this mission statement, and it give us so much of information. First of all, it says that in the role of internal auditor is to enhance and to protect the organizational value. So what we as an internal auditor is supposed to enhance and to protect the organization and its values, be it in any form, be it in terms of governance, be in terms of providing more value to the other stakeholders or whatever. So we as an internal auditor, we have a very crucial role as an internal auditor within the organization. While doing or performing that activity, we use certain tools. So the tool which internal auditor is used is risk-based. So we can carry out our internal audit in multiple manners, but why we use a risk-based audit methodology is because we have scarce resources, limited time, and we want to focus on the key risk of the organization. That's how we'll be more valuable to the organization. The other part of the definition is objective assurance. So objective assurance is where we provide an independent assessment of an area and give our opinions that how that area of the business is performing. So that is an objective assurance. Advice and insight, these are part of our consulting assignments. So basically where we are engaged as an advisor or as a consultant, and the business wants an advice from us just to enhance the overall organizational governance level, in terms of maybe risk management, in terms of better controls or any other purpose. So this is the core definition of the mission statement of internal auditor. For the exam purpose, you should know all these definitions. You don't have to memorize, but at least you should be know and to distinguish, just in case if there is any new thing which has been added in the options for you just to confuse. So you should be knowing these. So this is a basic tip for the MCQs as well. So the second component of the IIA mandatory guidance is the core principles. So I will just quickly take you through the core principles, what it states basically. Demonstrate integrity. So integrity is when we are being very honest as an auditor, because our job is so sensitive that where we have to give our independent opinion on different reviews or assessments. Therefore, we have to be an independent. Then demonstrate competence and due professional care. So the internal auditor need to have skill, knowledge, and experiences of performing their duty in the best possible manner. So we need, because when we are assessing an area, so we should be competent enough to give that advice to the board where they feel confident that whatever we are stating is up to the mark. So for that, we need to have proper qualification, we need to have a proper experience and knowledge and tools. Even sometimes we needed different kind of auditing, ID tools that needs to be there, and we should be capable of, just in case if the internal auditor is not capable of anything, so they can outsource those things, or they can leverage from other member within the team for those skills if they don't have. The third point is objective and free from undue influence. So it is very important, because internal auditor given an opinion on different processes and different functions of the organization. So they should not be under the influence of any pressure by which that objectivity could be compromised. Align with the strategies, objectives, and risk of the organization, because we want to add value to the organization. Is appropriately positioned and adequately resource. So there are two important elements. The first element is that we have to be appropriately positioned. That means that we should be reporting to the board functionally and administratively to the CEO, because if we start functionally reporting to the CEO or a member of the or a management person, then it would be difficult for us to give an audit opinion on any area which that person is directly responsible, and if there is like huge issues in that area. For that reason, we have to be independent of the management, therefore we functionally report to the board. However, for administrative things, for our the thing which cannot impair our or compromise our work, we can go to the CEO. Demonstrate quality and continuous improvement. So we as an auditor, this is our job to be more productive to the organization, by which we have to increase our skill set. Communicate effectively, very important. Provide risk-based assurance. I've given you a brief idea. Risk-based is where we focus on the risk and high risk and basically give assurance or our opinion on the high risk issues. Is insightful, proactive, and future focused. So this is where we do not only go for the previous issues or previous records. We also have to find a way by which we can give not only previous matters, opinion on the previous matter, but also be proactive and future focused by looking at the risk which might encounter by the company. Promotes organizational improvement. That is our overall objective, that we should promote by our recommendation that the organization could be further enhanced, and that's how we can add value. So this is the core principles of internal audit. This is just you need to keep in mind and while performing your audit activities, so you should know that what is being expected from you. So here we are with the definition of internal audit. Let me go through and take you through from the with explanation what is the definition of internal audit. And it is very important because you might come across MCQs related to the definition of internal audit. Sorry, my voice is a little bit unclear because I was sick, so I was just trying to recover, and just because of my commitment, I'm trying to make this video. So apologies if you found me a little bit shaky or not clear in my voice. Okay, let's go quickly to the definition. An internal audit is basically an independent, objective assurance and consulting activity designed to add value and improve an organization operations. So here you have to understand, in the first line there is a lot of heavy terms which are being used. First of all, internal auditor needs to be independent, which means that they should not be under any pressure from the management through any way, be it in terms of not providing resources or not providing data or not allowing them to access to the company information. So we need to be independent. Secondly, objective. So if we are independent, then only we will be able to give an objective assurance, an objective opinion. And consulting activity designed to add value. So we are not only the one which always do an audit, but we also provide sometime as a consultant advisory services to the organization to add value and improve organization operations. So this is how the definition is being designed. So there are two components, assurance and consulting, and there is one critical component that we needs to be independent. Let's go to the second sentence. It helps an organization accomplish its objective. So by providing value, we help the organization to accomplish its objective, be it financial objectives, be it other objectives, to be more contributing organization to the society, to help the stakeholders. So these all objectives we help them to accomplish by being more risk-based auditor and helping the organization in improving their organizational operations. By bringing a systematic, disciplined approach to evaluate and improve effectiveness of risk management, control, and governance process. So how we are more systematic, because we have internal audit manuals, we have internal audit charters, we have audit programs. So everything is very designed in a perfect way, and we go through a proper project management procedures. This is how we ensure that we have a systematic, disciplined approach to evaluate and improve the organization risk management, control, and governance processes. So this is the brief definition, and I try to explain it to you to have a better understanding. Just a quick note, just in case if someone doesn't understand and just click my mind. And what is audit? Audit is basically the review of any company processes or information, such kind of a thing, or any activity, to review any activity or observe any activity and give an independent opinion whether these processes are being performed in the best possible manner without having a risk to the organization in terms of efficiency, effectiveness, and economy, efficiency, and effectiveness. So this is how we give an assurance to the organization, by giving our opinions. But at the same time, we can also work as a consultant where we help them to improve certain controls. So the internal audit standards are being divided into two components, attribute standards and performance standards. Attribute standards all start from 1000 series, and the performance standards start from 2000 series. The attribute standards basically talks about the key attributes or characteristic of internal audit, whereas the performance standard basically help you to understand and to guide you how to perform the internal audit activity. So this is the main difference between attribute and performance standard. Here is the example of attribute standard. For example, 1000 is purpose, authority, and responsibility. It gives you a detailed explanation. What is the purpose of internal audit? What are our authorities and what are our responsibilities? Similarly, we have 1100 again in 1000 series, 1100 which talks about independence and objectivity in very much detail, very in detailed manner. Then we have 1200 which is proficiency in due professional care, which talks about that how we as an auditor has to improve ourselves in terms of competence by taking additional trainings, by having a subject matter expertise. So this is how we have to keep on upgrading our skill sets. Then we have 1300, which talks about quality assurance and improvement program. So which basically talks about that how we as an auditor improve our work, our daily work, and how we can ensure that the work activity which we perform is up to the mark. We have two ways of doing it. First of all, internally through reviews, our senior reviews our work. This is one way, and the second way is where independent, we hire an independent assessor which comes and assess the work of internal audit and give an assurance that whether we are doing our job as of the quality which is being required by the IIA. And basically the gauge is the IPPF, this whole standards. And so if we are complying with the IPPF framework, then it means that we are doing our job in the best possible manner. Here we are with the performance standards. So as I have told you that all the performance standards start with 2000 and series of 2000. So 2000 is managing the internal audit activity. Then we have 2100, which talks about the nature of our work, be it assurance or consulting. 2200 engagement planning. Then 2300 performing the engagement, communicating result is 2400. Then we have 2500 monitoring progress, and the last one is 2600 communicating and acceptance of risk. So this is, if you look at in detail, it talks starting from how the nature of the work to the planning and performing and communicating our results. So it talks about all the practical daily work of internal audit, that how we have to carry out our daily work, and this standards, basically the performance standards, help us a lot in that manner. So by taking all the guidance and all the key matter of the standards while applying in our day-to-day audit activities. So this is basically the key differentiation between attribute and performance standard, and this in itself as a whole encompasses all the internal audit standards which is being applied on internal auditors. So you might be interested in knowing each and every standard, because if I start explaining each and every standard, it will be a very huge, big presentation, which I don't want to, because I wanted to be more specific to the CIA course. Therefore, I'm skipping that part. However, these standards is not required to have, the candidates are not required to have a very high level of very detailed level of understanding of all these standards. Just you need to have a high level of understanding. However, if you are still interested, or just to have more knowledge about the standards, you can refer to a YouTube channel which I highly recommend, by the name of Audit Strategy. It is all these videos in that channel has been done by Tosif Mushtaq. He's a profound head of audit, chief audit executive. So whatever he explains in this video, it is coming from a huge experience and in different industries and sectors. So he's just not an academic, he is a professional by himself and a proven name in the industry. So you can refer to his videos just in case if you want to have a detailed level of understanding on all these standards. So this is the last component of the mandatory guidance, which is code of conduct. Basically, code of conduct is the element or the code which we need to encompass in our behavior as an internal auditor. So it governs our behavior. This is what you have to understand. So it is being divided into two further components. The first one is the principle, and the second is rule of conduct. So if you look at the principle, talks about integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, and competence. However, the rule of conduct is also talking about the same thing. However, the difference is the principle give you the broader guideline, and the rule of conduct interpret those principles to help you to implement in your daily work. So this is the difference. So if you are interested, you can go in detail. However, at a high level, I will just give you an example that integrity is about being honest. Objectivity is where you do not change your opinion due to any pressure or anything. So you are very clear, and without being biased, you give your opinion. Confidentiality, being as an auditor, you have access to the information, so you have to ensure that this information is being you responsibly use it and communicate it and store as well. Competence is where you as an auditor needs to be qualified, or you need to keep on upgrading your skills. You need to have that level of proficiency and competence in yourself, that when you review an area, your words and your recommendation should be of value to the organization. So it is also very much important. However, what are the key nitty-gritty details of each element? This is being explained to you in the rule of conduct. Here we are with the recommended guidance. So this is the unhighlighted section of the graph, the picture which I've shown you in the previous slide. Recommended guidance basically is divided into two things. One is implementation guidance, and the second is supplementation guidance. So the implementation guidance is basically it helps you to apply the standards, and supplemented guidance gives you a detailed procedures how to apply that. So first of all, what you do as an auditor, if you're stuck in any issue, you go for the standard. If you need furthermore elaboration, you go to implementation guidance. And if you need a detailed level of procedure, and if it is available, then you go to the supplementation or this practice guide. Previously it used to the name of supplementation guidance was practice guidance. So you go to this document just to see that how you can apply. Okay, now we have done with the IPPF framework. We closed that chapter, and within the unit 1, we have one additional topic which talks about the charter. So before going into what the standard says and what is the charter, I just want to give you a brief elaboration between there are two types of charters. So one is internal audit charter and the other one is audit committee charter. So you should not confuse between the two. The first one, audit committee charter, is basically the charter which gives a detailed level of understanding to the governing body that what the audit committee will be doing. So the audit committee is basically comprises of the board members. The board member just to because the board is having a lot of agendas, so they cannot focus on every issue of the organizations. Therefore, as a best corporate governance practice, they assign certain member of the board to become part of the audit committee, and these audit committee have a charter which govern how they will carry out their work activities and what are their role and responsibilities, and how many time of the year they will be sitting. So this is all part of the audit committee charter. And then there is another charter, we call it internal audit charter, which is one level below that. So in internal audit charter, the role and responsibility of the internal auditor are being defined, and there are some other elements that are being part of the internal audit charter. So the audit committee charter is being approved by the board, and the internal audit charter is being generally approved by the audit committee. Just in case if you are working in an organization where there is no audit committee and you directly report to the board, then in that case your audit committee charter is being approved by the board. So this is the approval mechanism for internal audit charter. The standard 1000 basically state about the internal audit charter. What it says, it's a formal document that defines the internal audit purpose, authority, and responsibility. So this is basically in a nutshell what the internal audit charter is all about. However, there are key critical components that need to be part of the internal audit charter. The first thing is internal audit objectives and responsibility. The second thing is the nature of work of internal audit, which comprises of assurance services and consulting services. The third is the chief audit executive reporting, which is administrative reporting to the CEO and functional reporting to the board or audit committee. The another key element is the level of authority, where we state that the internal audit should have a free access, unrestricted access to records, property, and personnel. Obviously, when we have access to all this information, we also have the responsibility to ensure confidentiality and to behave ethically. So that is just to counter with this authority, the responsibility is being defined. So this is a brief nutshell of what the internal audit charter comprises of. Whenever we form an internal audit charter, we discuss with the management and then we take it to the audit committee. The reason why we also discuss with the management, because they should also need to know what is the role and responsibility of internal auditor is. And in your daily work, this document worked phenomenally, because tomorrow if you have any conflict, or just in case if you are not getting any information, or the management is asking to do something which contradicts your role and responsibility defined in the charter, then you refer them to the audit committee charter, because it is being approved by the board or the board member in terms of an audit committee. So it is a very powerful document, and it is there to safeguard you, and it is also there to communicate the role and responsibility of internal auditor across the organization. So this is one important element, one important concepts which has been put it forward in the unit 1. So this is in brief nutshell the entire syllabus of unit 1. There might be some nitty-gritty details to each topic, but I try to explain it to you all the key topics so you don't have a confusion in understanding what is the mandatory guidance or other things. So just for the sake of this presentation, I try to keep it very simple and straightforward, and hope it will benefit you. And in the next video, I will try to cover the entire unit 2 key concepts. Thank you for watching, and do subscribe if you are benefiting from it, and also share with other colleagues who might be interested in CIA course and who need an additional resources or guidance to pass this exam. Take care and see you in the next video.